So many of my students asked me if they should practice guitar every single day. Is it necessary to practice every day in order to improve, or is it okay to maybe practice every other day, maybe practice 3 days a week, or to just take the occasional day off from practicing? Now, of course, there's no one size fits all answer to this question, okay? And I think the extremes are never really good. Like, obviously, it's practicing 1 day a week probably isn't going to help you in your progress very much, and you probably won't make much progress, especially as a new player, if you only practice 1 day a week. The flip side of that is if you do have a fairly consistent practice schedule and you're feeling a little bit burnt out and you want to take a day off, I don't think it's going to hurt your progress forward in any meaningful or measurable way. Like, for example, I don't think if you've been practicing consistently for 6 months straight, 7 days a week maybe, and you take a day or two off, I don't really think when you go to pick up the guitar again, you're going to see a noticeable difference or a noticeable decline in your ability as a player. In fact, some time away could actually be just the refresher that you need so that when you pick the instrument back up again, you're inspired. So on one hand, obviously, the more you practice, the better it is for your progress. And in a perfect world, we'd have all the time in the world to practice hours a day, and we'd be inspired every day to want to practice so that we would be getting the most out of our time practicing, and it wouldn't be a chore. Because when practicing becomes a chore, it could lead to burnout. It could lead to you not wanting to play the instrument or you feeling pressure to play the instrument, which ultimately could make you shy away from playing, and in the worst case scenario, could make you not want to play anymore and could make you not play for long periods of time or maybe never again. So this is a subject that's kind of personal to me, and if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll share a story about how my anxiety about having to practice kind of went to extremes and made me realize and learn some things about having too much anxiety and pressure when it comes to practice. So I started playing guitar when I was 10 years old, okay? 39 years ago, a long time ago. And I was very, very gung-ho. I practiced several hours a day, every day, for quite a few years. I wanted to get into performing arts high school here in New York, which is LaGuardia High School here in New York. And I had my focus on that, and so I practiced as much as I could every day to build up the ability to hopefully get into that school. And I just loved playing. I loved the challenge of the instrument, and I loved seeing the progress that I was making. And to be quite honest with you, I kind of liked the attention I got from people around me when I would play music and I would see them like react to it and that they thought I was playing it well. That was kind of a good feeling. So I accomplished that first goal. I got into this school. I went to this high school. And in that school, you practice a lot as well. And it was practice, 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 practice. When I got into my early 20s, I'm fast forwarding a lot here, I just kind of was burnt out on playing. I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't see any opportunity to be a professional player for me. And I didn't really know if I wanted to even do it anymore. I got burnt out. And I also was measuring myself up against other players, and it just lost the fun for me. And I'd stepped away from playing guitar for a few years. I mean, I would play sometimes in the studio for people if they needed me to, but I lost my own personal desire to play. So whenever I was called upon to play, it was always just like something I had to do. And I just didn't want to play anymore. I was burnt out. So fast forward now a few years, I came into a situation where I was playing music with some friends, and I don't know, it just was feeling good, and it occurred to me that why would I ever not play this instrument that used to bring me so much joy? And I made a vow to myself that I was going to play and practice every single day from that moment on. And I did that. I practiced every single day, or at least made time to play every single day for about 16 years straight. And it was great. I was kind of inspired to do it, but then there were some days I didn't want to, but I did it anyway because I made this vow to myself. Basically, I had gone one extreme by not playing at all, and then I flipped to the other extreme by making this commitment that I would have to play every single day. It was almost like I didn't trust myself to not quit the instrument again, if that makes any sense. So on one hand, it seemed healthy. Oh, I'm going to play every day. I was loving it. But on the other hand, it's not really healthy if you're doing it from a place of fear, which in retrospect now I realize that's what I was doing. I had an anxiety that if I didn't play every day, I was not going to play anymore. Okay? And I didn't realize it at the time. And I don't really regret that because it's what I had to go through to get to where I'm at now, which is a comfortable place where I do play very much. I mean, I gig a lot, so that forces me to play, and I have to learn music for some of the gigs I do, which forces me to practice. And I love it, of course. I love playing. It's what I do for a living. But if I don't feel like playing for a day or two, I'm at the point now that I just don't, and I don't worry about it. Even if I did lose a little bit of my chops or whatever that means, or my forward progress, so what? So you can kind of come back to it, and maybe that loss of forward progress is just you seeing where you are weak, and you can focus on those areas when you get back to it, okay? So recently I'd gone on a vacation, and I always bring a guitar with me when I go away, even if it's just like for 2 days. And on this vacation, this was the first time I was going away for 4 days, and I said to myself, no, I'm not going to bring a guitar. I'm not going to burden myself with carrying a guitar, worrying about a guitar, feeling like I have to practice. I'm not doing it. I'm going to just be away from the instrument for 5 days. And that's the longest I've been away from the instrument in probably almost 20 years maybe. So I had a little bit of this anxiety, this kind of like, or I had like a relapse of anxiety of not playing for that many days, this fear that something was going to happen to my playing or that I was going to stop playing. And it's irrational, and I know it probably makes me sound not very stable, but that is how I felt. And you know what? I went on this vacation. I didn't play. I didn't think about playing. I didn't care about playing. And nothing happened. I still remember how to play the instrument. I felt fine. I didn't feel rusty when I picked it up. And if I did, it was just for a few minutes, So my point is, practice consistently, be about it, have goals. But if you feel you need time away from the instrument, have faith in your long-term objectives to stick to it. And don't worry that somehow it's going to disappear and you're not going to play anymore. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself and nobody else has this issue. Maybe it's just me, and you could all come away from this video saying what a lunatic Frank is, and that's okay. But now I want to share a personal thing about what made me kind of realize that I was taking this practicing every day no matter what to a new extreme. My normal practice routine is to wake up in the morning, make my coffee, because God forbid I don't have my coffee, and sit with the instrument for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour or two, depending on the day. But always spend that early time of the day with the instrument, okay? And on this particular day, I had woken up and I made my coffee and I was ready to play, and the phone rang. And it was my mom. And she had called me from her apartment, and she had an emergency. She'd called an ambulance to the house because she needed to go to the hospital. And of course, I put the guitar down. I didn't practice, and I ran to her apartment where the ambulance had just gotten there. And they instructed me that they were taking her to a hospital that was about, 25 minutes away, and that I should meet them at the hospital. And now, in retrospect, I don't know if I did this because I feel like I needed it was so much information at once, I just needed to kind of like regroup, or if it was this fear of not practicing. I know this sounds crazy. Before I went to the hospital, I stopped home and I played guitar for 15 minutes. And then I went to the hospital. And I feel not, I don't know, I feel guilty about it. I felt like it was wrong, but I felt like I had to at least control that. And I didn't want to not practice that day because I was on a long streak of practicing every day. And I don't know if this paints me out to be like the most selfish person in the world. I don't know. I hope it doesn't. But it definitely, at that moment, not at that exact moment, but after that, when I had a chance to look back on it, I realized that's not the right way. That is something wrong there. If you are so worried about it that you literally don't go straight to a hospital to meet your mom, you stop home first and play guitar for a few minutes. Granted, I didn't play all day. I did it quickly. I just had to put the instrument in my hands and show myself that I would stick to it no matter what. I think that's what I was thinking. I don't know. So that's kind of my personal story about anxiety about not practicing and how we need to get a grip on ourselves sometimes and just commit to our long-term goals as players and put it in perspective, in balance in the rest of our lives. It's important to practice consistently and daily for the most part and work on our skills and keep the instrument close. But it shouldn't be causing you overabundance of anxiety, and it definitely should not be interfering in other areas of your life that are very important as well, like loved ones and friends and things such as that. I'm Frank Persico. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you practice a lot anyway, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Take care.